Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to install an exhaust valve controller on my 430 Scuderia, and we're going to install some scrape guards.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and this is my shop, NG Supercars, and this building is the stub, and that is my Ferrari 430 Scuderia, which was wrecked after it was stolen, and it's been put back together, and I just drove it back from Miami 1,400 miles, and I whacked a deer. Well, we still gotta fix the bumper after being hit, or after hitting the deer. But in the last video that I worked on this car, we pulled the exhaust vacuum valves. So they're basically always loud, which is great, except for, well, there's times you may actually want it quiet. So I bought a Forza Componenti valve controller, and we're going to install it so that we can choose when to make the valves open or close, so it can be loud or quiet whenever we want. And by the way, we sell those on our website, normalguysupercar.com, so go check it out. Link in the description below and use the code NGS10. It hooks you up with 10% off. Also with the scrape guards that we're going to be installing later in the video. Check that out. And do yourself a favor, go get those things. You're gonna love them. The valve controllers work on just about every Ferrari you can think of. There's different versions, so you gotta make sure you choose the right one. But they're awesome, and we've sold probably hundreds of these, and they're just fantastic. It's our favorite one because it's a reasonable price. They're easy to install, as you'll see. Alrighty, YouTube, we are looking at the back of the Scud, and well, as you can see, here is the exhaust, which is actually, it's a unique exhaust to the Scuderia. It's a totally different setup, and the vacuum valves are down there. So we're gonna let those cool down. It's pretty toasty. The vacuum controllers are behind this panel and this panel. So we're gonna remove these panels. I believe it's a 3 or 4 millimeter Allen, and we'll get those off. And then we should have access to be able to plug in the Forza Componente. All right, and this right here is the controller. So it's really simple. The way it installs is you have one ground line. You install this to a ground somewhere, and then you have these right here. These lines connect to the valves, controllers, the solenoids. So this end right here basically jumpers in. One side goes into the actual solenoid, the other one goes into the existing wire harness, and then the plug on this side goes in these plugs. That's it. Then you mount this guy somewhere where it's nice and secure, and you're done. Super simple. Then we have little remote controls right here that we can use to turn it on and off. So we'll install this. It's going to take us probably less than an hour. All right, these are 3 millimeter. And there's actually a heat shield down here. That's unique to the Scud. It's not on the regular 430s, and I think it's because of this pipe that goes up and over on the 430, so that's kind of interesting. All right, got the heat shield out. Now this is kind of interesting, is this panel normally on a 430 has a hole drilled with a gas cap release, but this one is not on the Scud, so I don't know if they just don't put it because of the carbon fiber or because of the Scud. I'm not sure. But okay, let's try and get this off without scratching anything. There we go. Okay, we've got the other panel off. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but the solenoid is this guy right there. So it's that gray piece. Now, I know it's kind of hard to see, and on this side it's impossible to see because it's actually underneath that vacuum canister. So normally on the 430, I believe they're located in a different spot where you can get to them much easier, like they're up in this kind of area, but for some reason on the Scud it's below the vacuum canister. So I'm gonna install them, clip in the wires. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to show you because well, you can't really, you can kind of see it there. Jeez, I'll zoom in right there, and you can see that wire that's sitting below the empty exhaust port, we're going to unclip that. And that is what gets clipped into the Forza controller. Alright YouTube, so I'm going to kind of do this by feel since I can't really see very well. Ugh, it's all gross. There, got it. Aha! Okay, so here we go. Here is the one side of the connector. So that side, we're just going to take this wire and connect it right in. So to release it, you just push on that bar, okay? So this side, as you can see, is the same as the existing one. That one we're going to plug right back in to the solenoid where it was before. So it's kind of a tight space on the scud, man. There. Okay. All right. That side's done. Let's do the other side. All right, again, I can't really show you because it's below this vacuum canister. Oh, there. Okay. This one goes in like that. Oops, that direction. Okay. And that guy. This one's totally by feel. It's gonna suck. Okay. Now, so they did give you an extra extension cable, which we might have to do because this cable we're gonna run all the way over to this side, and as you can see, it's kind of just barely gonna fit. So actually, we're gonna install that extension right now, and what we're gonna do is just kind of thread that back here and run it along with these guys, or maybe down there by the bumper or something, somewhere where it's just kind of out of the way. Actually, I'm gonna run it up here because the Scud has exhaust coming through the bumper, so it's definitely gonna make it more sense to run it along this and then run it into that over there. I'll kind of have to go back underneath that. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky, but we'll get it. We'll get it. Do the extension. This just clips in like. Jeez. Good Lord, that was tight. All right. So where do we want to run this? How are we running it? Yeah, I think this would be good to go this way. We can kind of zip tie it to those. Although I might actually run it behind that. That seems like a good idea. Let's run it back behind here. Actually, I'm under those. Alright, what I'm going to do is actually zip tie it to these guys up here. So it's nice and out of the way of the heat. There. So this side's kind of a problem because there is really nothing to zip tie it to except for the frame. So what I might do is just kind of keep it nice and taut and zip tie it back here so it just doesn't, I don't want it flopping around and making a bunch of rattling noises and stuff. I feel like, yeah, if I just kind of zip tie it up in here, keep it tight, it should be pretty decent. Sadly, I wish there was something else that ran there, but we do want it to be back here because that's otherwise going to be difficult for the panel. And the panel goes back into place. The other thing I gotta do is I gotta plug back in my vacuum line since I unplugged those, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Okay, got my wires run, pretty content with where they are. There is a 10mm bolt right here. I know you probably can't see it, but I'm gonna undo that bolt and use that for my ground. Oh, please tell me it's 10mm. Oh, okay. Whew. It's like, what? Everything's 10mm on these things. Now we're gonna undo our ground wire. I'll just set the valve controller out of the way for a moment. Rebolt it right to that. Alright, where were you? There you are. Now let's connect the wires to the controller, but we're not going to put the controller and get it out of the way and mount it yet. We're going to test it, make sure that it turns on, and we can operate it, making sure that it's got a good ground before we do that, because that's the only problem that I've ever had with these, is if you don't get a good ground, it doesn't always work correctly. All right, so I've got my two wires. One and 2. Okay, now there is a little LED, and we should be able to see that turn on. So I'm going to turn on the car, and then we'll operate the remote controls. All right, power is on. You can see the lights on. So I don't know what they changed the remote. I haven't seen this remote before, so I don't know which mode is what. So let's try different things. Oh! All right, it's definitely working.
How is it changing them without vacuum?
It's still got vacuum in the canister.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. All right, well, it clearly works.
Well, now we got to start it.
Well, let's bundle it up, get it out of the way so we're not going to burn anything, and then we'll start it up. All right, YouTube, mounted the valve controller right here on this bracket. So, going to clip off these tails, zip ties. Now, it comes with a, piece of, Velcro, but I always just recommend zip tying these things because the Velcro it's good, but it's not the best. So now we just need to clean up all these wires.
Yes. Sure.
There. Okay. There. That's pretty good. All right, throw the panels back on, and then the exhaust controller's done. All right, let's fire it up and play with the valves a little bit. All right, let's go hear this. There it is. Oh. So B is open. A is closed. I think D is normal computer, but B, oh yeah. Pretty simple. Again, check out normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy the Forza Componenti Valve controller. Use the code NGS10. It hooks you up with 10% off. Also, link in the description below. All right, next chore is to raise it up and put on some scrape guards. So you can see the bottom of this car is in pristine condition. Very, very little scrapes. Some right there. So we'll put a scrape guard here. But look at that. I mean, the paint is all still basically brand new. So we really, really would like to protect that. So I'll probably put 2 layers is my guess, maybe 3. I'll put one on this section, one here, and definitely do 2 layers over here and around the corners too. So yeah, we definitely need those. All right, here are the scrape guard kits. Each one comes with 8. So you take the scrape guard itself, you put the little sticky stuff on it and glue it, and then you can kind of form it to however you need to shape it on the car itself. Super, super easy. Also, it's a good idea to clean the bottom of the car first using rubbing alcohol, so I'm going to do that, and we'll get these things on there, and it's going to be fantastic, and we're going to actually have a pretty much pristine car. All right, YouTube, there you go. So I got 2 rows in the front, 1 row in the middle, and kind of all the way around. That should do a pretty darn good job. I mean, there's just, no way to really cover it entirely, say it's perfectly protected, but it's protected really well now. I'm much more comfortable driving this thing around and not worrying about having it just get totally obliterated. And one last thing I'm going to do today, which is I'm going to change the oil in this thing because I have no idea when it was changed. It's probably been years, and it's probably horrible oil, so we need to change it. You guys have seen me do this 1,000 times, so I'm just going to time-lapse it, but here we go. Let's change the oil, and then now we'll have a Scud that's ready to actually hit the streets and have fun and play. Oil change complete. Scrape guards, valve controller, oil change. Productive day. I think we need to hear this thing. You guys want to hear this thing, so we're gonna rev it up. I'll show you what it's like with the valves closed and the valves open when it's revved. Oh yeah, that'll do. We're gonna be getting a better exhaust for that very soon, and so you're gonna wanna like, share, and subscribe. So don't forget, go check out normalguyssupercar.com. We do appreciate your guys' support. Use the code NGS10 to hook yourself up with 10% off basically everything we sell, and we're gonna be doing a lot of cool car stuff, so you're gonna wanna stay tuned. It's gonna be sweet.